Peace, everybody. Um, Today I am going to do readings for um, ways to assist with manifestation. So I pulled from the Law of Attraction deck, and the first card that I got, it says, I can deliberately reach for joyous thoughts. And here's what it looks like. And on the back it says, in seeking and finding joy, you not only find perfect alignment with your inner being and with who you really are, but you also find vibrational alignment with all the things that you desire. When joy is really important to you, you will not allow yourself to focus upon things that do not feel good. And the result of thinking only thoughts that feel good will then cause you to create a wonderful life filled with all the things you desire. So this card is speaking directly to just being intentional with your thoughts and with the energy around your thoughts. I know a lot of times it's very easy to kind of get caught up in this cycle of your thoughts being more of a reaction than being deliberate. And so that's why this says, I can deliberately reach for joyous thoughts, because it's encouraging you to just really, first of all, to first be mindful of your thoughts. So be aware of what it is that you're thinking at all times. And definitely be aware of your thoughts when you're in a position to be influenced by external sources. So what I mean by that is, if you're around other people, if you're out in the world, if you are watching a certain show, or anytime when you have that external influence, it's especially important to be mindful of what you're thinking in those moments, because it will allow you to better gauge where your vibration is. And so that will allow you to be in a better position to course correct if you need to, or to do more of what is working for you. So, for example, for me, one of the, I would say, the lowest point in my life, one of the most important ways that worked for me to kind of get out of that rut was to find moments to focus on things that make me happy or things that bring me joy. So for example, we've all been sad, we've all been depressed, we've all had low points. So imagine if 24 hours a day you're feeling down, right? You're vibrating at a lower state. And it doesn't even matter why. What's more important is that so you can kind of visualize like a spiral. This is what helps me the most, to visualize like a spiral, and almost like a tornado, but you want it to be like more funnel shaped. So if you have a spiral and it goes up like this, and that's your high vibration, and then it goes down like this, and it's going like this on I hope that makes sense, right? I should have drew a picture, but so if you visualize that, right, and imagine that that's what your thoughts look like. And the more you think good things, the higher you're going to go up that spiral. And it's just going to be like something that feeds off of itself. The more things you think that keep you in that lower vibration, it's going to keep you going down that spiral. And your vibration is just going to get lower and lower and more dense. So, like I was saying, one thing that really helped me was to, if I'm feeling sad 24 hours a day, just to start out, just to break that cycle, to find 60 seconds of something that makes you feel happy. So, I'm in Earth sign, my son is in Taurus, so one of the things that really helped me was to be out in nature, and it always made me feel better. So at that point in my life, what I used to do is make sure I found a moment in every day, once I, decided, like, I don't want to feel like this anymore, to find a moment every day to at least focus on something that makes me happy. For, like I said, start out with 60 seconds, and work your way up. So I would like go sit somewhere beautiful out in nature, and I don't know, say it was like a really, really beautiful day. And I would just focus on the beauty of the scenery for as long as I could. And over time, just repeatedly doing that, you kind of like reprogram your brain to always look for those moments, or always look for and appreciate and be grateful for those things that make you happy. So at the time I was living in Miami, which is like really, really beautiful. And so I would just be grateful, like, I'm in this beautiful place, look at the birds, look at the sky, look at, I don't know. I mean, like, it's very individual to you. So you would definitely have to, I think it's important that you figure out what it is that does make you happy, so that you can use that as a tool to kind of elevate your vibration. And it's not just something that you would use to get yourself out of a sad place. It's something that you should use and get in the practice of using every day, every moment of every day, because like I said, manifestation is the most effective when you are in that state of mind. So just see if you can create just a new way of being. See if you can create new programming for yourself, so that you're always incorporating these moments of joy. You're always looking for these moments of joy, things to be happy about, things to be grateful for. And as always, don't beat yourself up. Don't feel bad or feel like you failed or like you're not doing it right just because you might fall back into those old patterns. It takes at least 28 days to create a new pattern. So, your first 2 weeks, like, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to fall back into what you used to do or how you used to think. And it's always gonna be like that throughout your whole life. Like, as much as I've been practicing these things intentionally, there's always triggers and there's always moments that make you kind of regress Especially right now. Like, there's so many triggers. Like, a lot of the times I really personally have to just distance myself from a lot of external energy, or a lot of people, things like that, just for my own peace of mind, because I know, like, the more I'm around a certain energy, the more it's going to trigger a certain energy in me, and I know that it's not in my best interest to even go there. So just always be mindful of, always check in with yourself, and see where your thoughts are, so that you can either do more of what makes you feel good, or so you can, snap yourself out of thinking negativity, or things that just are not serving your highest good. And again, these are all suggestions for, or tools that you can use to step up your manifestation game. So the next card that I have, and this card keeps coming up, like, I don't know if you go back and watch all of my manifestation videos, you'll see how often this card comes up. So I feel like the universe is saying that, like, this is very, very important. And I feel why it's important, because, like, I see so much of it. So let me tell you what the card is, and then I'll go back into that. So it says, our little babies are also thinking beings. And every time I pull this card, I always put my finger on the baby's face. There you go. Okay. And it says, the child is thinking on the day it enters your environment. And so beliefs are easily transmitted from adults to children. The child is vibrationally receiving your fears and your beliefs, even without your spoken word. So give thought only to that which you want, and your child will receive from you only the vibration of those wanted thoughts. Right? And so for me, like, specifically what comes up for this card for me today is definitely like, kids are going back to school right now, right? And I can't even imagine what it feels like to be a child living through these times right now. And then in addition to that, now you're taking on all of this energy about all of this fear and all of this, like, uneasiness and being unsure, and the fighting, like, the school board's fighting with the parents fighting with the other parents, the parents fighting the kids fighting each other. And it's always been important, but I feel like now it's imperative to get the reminder that kids are very easily influenced. Like, from the time that they incarnate into this world, they are subjected to the energy around them, which is most likely, parents or family members, maybe, if you've been adopted or anything like that. It's like that inner circle. And so to be a parent is one of the most honorable things that you can do, because you are directly responsible for the foundation of that child as a person. Like, you are not solely responsible for who they become or for the personality that they develop, but you are a living, breathing example of how to be a human being in this world. And so if you are not the best example for that kid, then I mean, you're just setting them up for failure. And then, I know like parents can be defensive a lot of times, because it is very overwhelming to take on the responsibility of your own stuff and then to also be responsible for these whole other people. And so a lot of times, you feel like you're doing the best that you can, and a lot of times you don't know what else you can do or how else you can do it better. A lot of times you get caught up in your own stuff, and while you're wrapped up in your own stuff, your own hang-ups, your own the things that you go through in life, if you don't have good ways, healthy ways to deal with those things as they come up, then it's just going to be that much more of a negative influence on the people around you, and not just kids, but also your partner, also your parents, also your coworkers, or whoever else that you're around. So especially right now, it's very important that you make sure to check in with your child. I know a lot of parents are also frustrated by having to, it sounds so horrible, like having to be around your child so much because they weren't in school and because you weren't at work, you were working from home. And so like, I felt a lot of parents were very, or are very like resentful or annoyed by having to spend more time with your kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't even think that that's the source of that energy. I feel like the source of it is most people are living in fear. So you got that. And then most people do not have the tools to be productive if they're not forced to be. So, if you are working from home, you have all of these things around you that are encouraging you to do everything but what you're getting paid to do. So, you might find you're not working because you're watching TV, or you're not working because you went to the pool or you went to the beach that day or whatever. A lot of people don't have the practice of being productive in that environment. And then on top of that, now you're responsible for being a teacher to your kids, or at least being an assistant teacher, making sure that they do what they're responsible for, but maybe you're not doing what you're responsible for. And then maybe that's an added distraction to you. And so I feel like the combination of all of that is where the annoyance comes from. But if you look at it from a different perspective, if you use that ego medicine and rise above it and take a higher perspective and an objective perspective, that's hard to say. Like, there's so many benefits that should be coming from having to adjust to this new dynamic. So, how I would look at it is, now I get to spend so much more time with my kids. Now I get to be more involved in their development and their learning. Like, how many parents still read to their kids? How many parents taught their kids how to read in the first place, as opposed to just leaving it up to the school or leaving it up to ABC Mouse or whatever it is that all these different cartoons and things. So now you can be more involved with their development again. And, now you get to learn the self-discipline that it takes to really balance your home life. And now you get the space and opportunity to invest more time in yourself and the things that you do enjoy, and being able to be organized, learn how to be more organized, learn how to be more focused, so that everything is not distracting you. You can even say, like, look how much you're contributing to regenerative lifestyle by not having to drive so many places anymore, not having to spend money on buying lunch every day, or like, there's all of these benefits that I feel like I've said in other videos. Like, all of this is ultimately encouraging you to get back to what's important and get back to what's more meaningful, because society was always designed to distract you from that. Because when you have that strong sense of self and that strong stability within yourself and your circle, then what do you need other people for? What do you need a government for? What do you need somebody to tell you how to live your life, or what rules you should follow? Or you're not depending on anybody else. And the way that the United States is structured, they very much want you to depend on them for everything, because they want to be in control, and so that they can influence you to move the way that they want you to move, which is ultimately for their benefit and not yours. So it's so much opportunity to just be better, so I would definitely. And another thing is that I just heard is, kids are very, very, very smart. Very, very smart. Kids are here to teach you to look at things differently. They're not supposed to see things the way that you see them, or understand things the way that you understand them. They're supposed to bring a new dynamic and a new perspective on life every generation. So now you have more opportunity to talk with your kids and say, how are you feeling about this? Are you okay? I'm sure, well, depending, like, if you're freaking out, of course they're going to be freaking out. If you're afraid that they're going to get sick, they're going to pick up on that energy. And like I said, focus more on being healthy versus not being sick. So maybe in talking to your child, maybe they will be able to help you be a little bit more calm about the situation. Maybe they will be able to help you gain that higher perspective on things that are going on, or things you may be worried about, and vice versa. So definitely use this opportunity to become more connected with your children, to learn from your children, and to be the best influence for your children that you can be. And so how that relates to manifestation, I feel like children are a reflection of you. So that's another way that you can check in with yourself, is by seeing how your kids react to you, to see how your kids are being influenced by you, and to be able to course correct yourself if you see that negativity being reflected in them. the better, the more balanced you are, the more balanced your environment is going to be, and the more positive and loving influence that you're going to have on your kids. And living in that state of balance is going to put you in a better place to be able to intentionally create the life that you want. So I hope that makes sense. The last card that I pulled, it says, I attract the essence of whatever pleases me. And if you have any experience with cats, you know how much cats love to like sit in bushes and trees and just kind of like zen out. And so the back says, when you go into your creative workshop, which is like your place, your state of mind for manifesting, you can begin to assimilate the data that represents your preferences. And as you assimilate the data, you will prepare a picture of self from which you will begin attracting into your experience the essence of all that has been pleasing you. So, this card is all about, like, once you identify these joyous thoughts, the things that bring you joy, the things that bring you happiness, the things that you want to manifest and create, because you feel like that will continue to bring you more joy. Once you identify these things, it's almost like, I'm trying to think how to put it into words. It's almost like you create this energy, like this bubble of energy around you. And that energy has no choice but to become physical. And this is why I talk about cymatics so much, because it's literally you seeing vibration manifest into something physical. So it's important to understand all of the different steps, which is why you should pre-order my creation station e-class. But it's important that you know all of the steps. I would recommend that if you have not already, definitely become very, very, very familiar with the universal laws. And that will better help you understand how manifestation works and what all of the pieces are. And how you can better integrate these concepts into your everyday life so that it becomes a lifestyle for you. And it's not just like these abstract things or these things that you have to remember. It's not like a chore. It's literally just reprogramming a lifestyle, because we've all been, well, not all of us, some of us were fortunate enough to incarnate into circles that practice more of this type of living, but most of us, I would say, have not. So I would say most of us grew up learning to always be busy, learning that you go to school to get a good job, you get a good job so that you can retire at some point. Hopefully you make it that far. Hopefully you're not like debilitated to the point where you can't even enjoy your retirement. But that's kind of like the all that people kind of present to you, like that's all life really has to offer, and that's like bull. Like that's straight bull. So that's why it's important to remember that you have the power to create whatever lifestyle that you want, and you just have to be able to reprogram yourself and reprogram your thoughts, and create new patterns. Speaking of, the new moon is coming up, which is a perfect time to set an intention. And you definitely, like, there's a new moon every 28 days, right? So don't feel like you have to create these like massive goals. You know, it's I would say it's more effective to create smaller, like focus on smaller achievable goals that you can actually see manifesting in those 28 days. Definitely to start out and get that practice, but also to you know, like there's no clock in the universe. Like time is very man-made, so it's not effective to ask the universe to help you manifest a dream house in 28 days. Like, I'm not saying it won't happen, but it's probably not going to happen in 28 days. Like, you can't really put a time limit on things, so it's easier to if you're working with the moon cycle, it's easier to start in those smaller increments and start with something very achievable, something that you know that you can create a new pattern within those 28 days. And just to practice being able to, like the card says, assimilate the data. So you want to make sure that you really integrate these new practices into your lifestyle, so it becomes second nature to you, and it's not something that you really have to think about or remember. And the more you're able to do these things, the more you're able to incorporate this in your lifetime and really just live it, the more you're going to live in that energy where manifestation is very, very easy. I hope that makes sense, because I know this card used a lot of had a very abstract way of explaining things, so I hope that makes sense. So like I said, the new moon is coming up. Definitely look out for my new moon readings. I've started to do astrological readings for the different celestial events. So like new moons, full moons, solstices, equinoxes, and I guess anything that comes up. Like, I know we have some very interesting planetary aspects in these next few months as we get closer to the solstice. So definitely look out for those readings. Definitely you want to pre-order your manifestation creation station e-class. All of these links are in the description or in my bio, depending on where you're watching this video. And as always, hit me up if you want to do a live reading with me. And by live, I mean that it's going to be recorded and for public consumption. So if you don't want everybody to be watching your reading, it's not for you. But you can also purchase a reading from me, and that will be very private. And I also, when I do readings, I provide you with either a recording or a PDF copy of, all of the cards and all of the messages I got from the cards. Let's see. Definitely DM me if you have any questions that you want, or topics that you want me to talk about. If you have any questions about anything that I've already talked about. If you need any resources or recommendations for different coaches, just hit me up. So I hope y'all have a great day. Peace.